Hello, welcome back. This is Miniature Mike, and per most popular request in my last poll, I'm going to do some of the Savage characters. And as a quick disclaimer, I'm not doing Chewbacca Enraged Wookiee. I actually already did that one. If you take a look at one of my previous videos, I did ones for Chewbacca, and I included him there. Really fun Savage character, the only one who can shoot, which is kind of funny, but all pretty fun nonetheless. So for this one, I'm just really covering those fringe Savage creatures, along with the Massassi Mutant as well, because he's also Savage. And it's kind of a fun group. Like, normally I think people typically avoid Savages, and there's good reason why. You know, there's limitations with Savage. Sometimes Savage characters have kind of wacky stats, like crazy HP but horrible defense sometimes, and so forth. But if you pair them with correct people, and some of them even by themselves are pretty good, if you pair them with the right characters, they can become so nasty. And obviously XR Kun is the biggest one, but let's take a dive into each of these, and then let's take a dive into see which, basically which of the Savages are, best paired with some of these characters, and what we can do with them. So I thought it'd be kind of fun this time. I'll try to show as many as I can. I mean, I have a really small screen. I typically like to keep it small, but I brought all the ones that I own. I own all of them, but the Krayt Dragon. Unfortunately, that guy's hard to find. But I'll show them off maybe here and there. Maybe I'll do this in the future. We'll see. I'm getting pretty close on collecting most things, but yeah. Alright, first things first though. I'm going to expand my size of this just a little bit. So we got the original Wampa from Rebel Storm. So here we go. Just this really, really great looking sculpt, honestly. Looks awesome. Especially for Rebel Storm, because sometimes those can be nice, but a little bland. The Wampa, though, costs 13, so that's actually really cheap. 50 HP, 16 defense, 7 attack, 10 damage. All of those but the 10 damage, really nice stats, honestly, for just a kind of like a melee character in general. He's got Savage, Double, Melee, and Rend 20. So if both of this guy's attacks hit, he's got the opportunity to basically do 40 total damage. The thing that's kind of a bummer is he only does 10 damage on the outset. Being someone like the Wampa, you'd think they'd be more, how violent they are, they do more damage, but this is Rebel Storm, so they're kind of playing it conservative here. Overall, he's got great hit points. The survivability just really isn't there. He doesn't really have anything to protect him. He's going to rush into danger. If he can attack an enemy, he'll go up to him, but he doesn't really have anything that can help him other than a decent defense, so both survivability, not so good. The attack, though, having 7 on a 13, not bad at all. Pretty solid, pretty good. His max damage can be great, although there's kind of an asterisk to that. He has Rend 20, and he has okay attack. Like, it's decent attack, but, like, the odds of both of them hitting with a 7, not the best. I don't think it's the most crazy thing in the world. I'm not too crazy about it, so it could be nice damage, especially for someone so cheap. But special abilities, let's move on to that. I think they're good. Like, having Double and Rend is definitely a good thing to have if you're going to have Savage. The abilities, they synergize pretty well. I don't think he's that versatile, personally. He just isn't. He can die pretty easily, and you got to really kind of set him up right to take advantage of that Rend. So overall, I gave him a fair score. Blue Milk is way harsher on this guy than I think I am. The reason I think he shouldn't be that crapped on, personally, is because he only costs 13. Like, I mean, it's not that bad, especially if you connect this guy and say just mix him with XR Kun or something like that. It's not as awesome with XR Kun because, if you got momentum, then you still are only doing 20 damage at the end of the day. And then if you have Jedi Hunter, that could be kind of cool. So this guy could be a good Jedi Smasher for really cheap. But, yeah, I get it. I think 4.0 on Blue Milk's a little too harsh. Maybe 5 or above 5 makes more sense to me personally, just because he's so cheap. And he's a sweet sculpt too, but we're not grading on sculpts here. I grade this guy a Savage Brawler designation. There's 3 different ones. I did Charger, Brawler, and Ambusher, because there's kind of like a nice even split between those. And there's some that have melee reach as well. But overall, it's... Even with the things I just said, trying to defend the Wampa, he really does fall behind pretty much all the other Savage characters. So I think that's kind of the main reason why he kind of falls back. So honestly, in my opinion, you can pair him with the Jedi Exile or XR Kun, but it's still kind of an awkward pairing just because even if he rushes and gets momentum, it's not all that cool. And with the Jedi Exile, he gets triple attack, but that's just 10 extra damage, and that's it. So, yeah. It is fair that he is graded lower. I just think 4 is a little harsh, personally. But very expensive. Some of these Savage guys, very pricey, so he's about 24 bucks. Not bad at all. Not too bad, but we'll get better. Okay, so next, let's take care of the Acklay, famous arena pit creature. There you go. Looks pretty good. I think this guy's interesting. He's kind of, in theory, he's really cool, but at the end of the day, I think he's just a little too expensive for kind of what he does. So we're looking at almost 50 cost, 49, 130, 15, 8, and 20. Those are all kind of lackluster, but he's got cleave, damage reduction 10, melee attack, melee reach 2, and triple attack. Those are all really good, especially having cleave and triple is kind of nice because you can do a lot of extra attacking. That is good. That is very, very good. Melee reach 2 is nice so that, you know, he can, if he finishes off the character that he has to go next to, then, you know, potentially he can attack other characters as well. It's nice. Damage reduction 10 will help a little bit for sure with those poor HP and defense, but if a character with a lightsaber, which is most, not all melee, but a lot of melee characters, if they get on him, they'll just chop him up, you know, just like Obi-Wan in Episode 2. Yeah, so that's going to probably take place. But I think it's kind of fun. I think the idea of what we're going for here is kind of fun. Just tons of attacks, kind of a crowd fighter in some ways, but not against Jedi for the most part. And it's interesting. But I think at the end of the day, he's too expensive for what he does personally. So overall, I gave him the good score. His HP for a 49 is very solid. The range survivability is decent because of damage reduction 10, but not so much melee. The attack is not good either. If you're going to be a melee attacking character and you have an attack of 8 and you cost 50, good luck. Yeah, have fun with that. It's not going to go well. Most melee attacking pieces at 49 have at least like, you know, 13, 14 attack or something like that. Or so kind of falls behind there, but it makes sense in some cases. Overall, his ability synergy is I think it's great. These powers do go well together, so that is a bonus for him. The versatility is, I think it's not bad. Not bad versatility at all. The fact that you can kind of get him to a spot, he's got damage reduction 10. I think if I regraded this, if I tweak it, then I could change this all the time. I might bump that up just a little bit, so it's not too bad. Savage score, just gave him a solid 3. I think he's good. He's got his downsides. He does cost a lot. Certain characters can just kind of mow him down real fast. But damage reduction 10 does help. And then he can get quad attack plus cleave if you mix him with a Jedi Exile, which is really easy to do. Could be kind of nice. And then I don't think Exar Kun's as good of a pairing because, sure, if you get Jedi Hunter, that's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, that's really good. But he's just really expensive to mix with Exar Kun. Even if you're doing like a 200-point squad, just those two characters just takes up like 70% of the whole squad just like that. And I don't know if that's exactly worth it, but something to keep in mind as well. The Nexu's interesting because I think by himself, maybe he kind of lags behind, but I think he's a very easy guy to pair with Kun, very easy person to pair with Jedi Exile. We'll get to that in a second. So costs 15, he's got 50 HP, 16 defense, 7 attack, 10 damage, which does kind of suck. But he's got ambush, so I think he's the first character to get ambush, I think. Not totally sure. Double attack, melee, speed 8, and stealth. So I do like that he's quick, he's got stealth, and ambush, so he can kind of pounce like a cat out. Let's show him off real quick here. So he can kind of pounce like a cat out there. And pretty fun character. That base damage is pretty disappointing, but we'll fix it in a sec. So I think overall I gave him also a good score, but I think he's a little bit better than the Acklay in terms of just practicality, meaning the Acklay's got all these weapons, tools, he costs a lot more, but this guy only costs 15. He's a smaller base. And I think he pairs much better with both Exar Kun and the Jedi Exile. So he's got good HP, good survivability, especially because he has, you know, stealth and speed. I do like that a lot. His attack is solid. His max damage isn't the best. It's only 20, but for someone who costs 15, I mean, you know, what are you gonna expect? Sometimes it's not too bad. His special abilities, I think this is a great set of special abilities if you're going to give it to a Savage character. They also synergize well together. with the stealth, yeah, they all synergize awesome. If you're gonna work around Savage, the issues that Savage the limitations of Savage, this is a good way to do it. And I also think he's pretty versatile because of all this. So for Savage score, I gave him a 3.5. I think the Nexu's really good, and hear me out. So I think this is kind of where, so this guy and the Wampa, they kind of have similar things in some ways, but this guy's got stealth, speed, and ambush. And if he makes him very easily with Exarchon, this guy, without trying to do anything, he costs 15 points, he has 11 attack, and he could do 40 damage versus anyone, or he could do 60 damage versus anybody. And it could be a moving attack too, which could be very deadly. So I think this guy is, for costing 15, is kind of fun and sneaky awesome with Exarchon. And I don't think he's as great with the Jedi Exile, but it's not bad either. I mean, he can get 3 attacks, but it's only 10 damage, so not as awesome with the Jedi Exile, but I think he's an awesome pairing with Exarchon. I think he definitely gets a huge boost, and the cool kit that he already has goes up a lot just by having that stuff. So in my opinion, I think the Nexu maybe doesn't seem super sexy. Blue Milk gives him a very average score, but with Exarchon, I think he's kind of awesome personally. So if you're gonna put an ambusher with Exarchon that's this cheap, not bad at all. So Rancor, this guy, oh boy, what a monster. I got him from a gentleman in Australia about 6 months ago in a trade, but these guys are hard to find, and they look fantastic too. So, and they're super heavy. Holy smokes! Rancor is 33, 100, 18, 8, and 20. He's got Savage, melee reach 2, regeneration 10, speed 8, and triple attack. So kind of some similarities to the Acklay we have going on here. But the thing I like about this guy is when it comes to the large based Savage characters, this guy's really cheap. Like, he only costs 33, and he's a large base. And for most shooters, they'll probably have to do 24 defense anyway, because they'll be probably obstructed somehow. So I think the Rancor is kind of sneaky decent for being such a huge base, and he regenerates a little bit too, so that's nice as well. So overall, I did give him a really good score. I think this guy, if you mix him with the Jedi Exile, could be pretty fun, pretty scary. But I give him really good. The HP on a 33, very nice. The survivability is nice, especially because, I think that the speed and the regeneration helps a little bit. Like, you can say, oh, he's 100 HP. Well, at the end of the game, that's going to more like equate to like maybe 130, maybe 120, maybe 150 HP. So that's something kind of not, it's hard to factor it in, but don't dismiss it. The attack is not the best. 8 attack, again, not the best, but it's not bad either. Having 8 attack at least is decent, but it's not, for like a melee character, you'd want a little bit more than that, but it's also kind of balanced out by having all the attacks, the speed, regeneration. So that's why I was saying before, I think his max damage is pretty awesome, having triple and melee reach. He's got great special abilities, really fun. I think this is where they introduced regeneration 10. No, they introduced Dirge, and this guy, I think he's one of the next characters to get it. So his ability synergy is good. I think he's pretty versatile just because he can regenerate. He's got reach, can attack a lot of characters. But for a large base character, I think he's kind of nice. I think he's honestly kind of cool. And for Savage score, I also gave him a 3.5. He's pretty good. And on eBay, this guy's costs a crap ton. So if you can get a hold of a Rancor, you'll probably only ever get one if you're like a kind of like a low quantity collector. But if you can, definitely worth it. They're just really cool pieces. You can find them on eBay, but like I said, they're definitely more pricey for sure. But a lot of fun. So in summary, I think he's probably one of the better large base Savages. Misspelled that. Because he's lower cost. Because the large base Savages, they're like 50 cost, but this guy's 33. And then I think he's nice with the Jedi Exile. Of course, you could mix him with Exarchon if you want to, but the fact that this guy could get quadruple attack and pair up with a guy, and Jedi Exile only costs like 49, he costs 33, and then you still have room left in your squad for a lot more stuff. That's pretty cool. I think this could be a lot of fun. So yeah, and like I mentioned before, very hard to collect, but pretty cool character. If you're going to do a large Savage character, I think he's a fun one to try out. So let's move on to the Reek. So the next arena creature from Attack of the Clones. So we got Reek right here. pretty nice. So this guy is kind of one of the first just true charger characters. That's his purpose. That's what he does. He's at 51 with crazy HP, so 200 HP. We're looking at 17 defense, 12 attack, which is really good, 20 damage. He's got Savage, Charging Assault 20, and then Melee. So that's kind of his gimmick. He just rushes 12, nice attack, does 40 damage, but then he kind of has to sit there if the guy's not dead yet, and then when he's dead, he can rush again. So definitely a very nice way to get around Savage, kind of maximize. If you have to go attack the guy, just go right over there and smash him for 40. For the Reek being as powerful he is, I kind of wish he did 30 damage, but we'll get to the Krayt Dragon in a second since he's kind of the upgraded version in some cases. But not bad overall. Very tanky, nice attack, but he's just kind of one-trick pony. So overall, I think he's solid. He's good. I think the HP is crazy. Obvious, not very many characters do the 200 HP, but he's definitely got to take a few shots to get down. And he has decent defense, so it's not like he's going to go down super fast either. So the survivability, I think, is fair. The HP really helps out a lot. The attack's good. Max damage is solid. The reason the max damage isn't higher is because at the end of the day, it's just 20 damage. And then if you rush, it's 40 damage. And that's not like it's all that crazy, but it's more of like a shock factor. But on paper, it's like, wow, that's so much damage, 40 damage. If you're paying 51 for any character, you'll probably be doing 60 damage by then with like double attack and other modifiers. So it's not quite as awesome as you might think it is, but this guy does pair well with Exarchon, but we'll get to that in a second. The ability synergy is good. This goes well if you're going to have melee, savage, and these stats. Not very versatile in my opinion. Like I said, one-trick pony. Overall, for savages, I gave him a 3.5. And he's also pretty cheap, pretty easy to get. So now with this guy, there's a couple of chargers you'll see. There's him, the Krayt Dragon, and then there's the Kintan Strider, which we'll get to. If you mix him with Exarchon, he can be really great. You could get 60 damage, 20 attack, 60 damage against the Jedi, or it's just 50 damage and 16 attack against anyone else. Very nice. So definitely something to consider with Exarchon. The only thing that kind of holds me back just a little bit is the cost. Like, if you wanted to mix him with Exarchon, again, you've already used up most of your squad and just pairing him with a Reek. So, something to think about and consider. Definitely improved with Exarchon, but I'm not totally sure I'd pull the trigger on this guy. I think I'd probably pull the trigger on the Krayt Dragon. So, I think that's the next one. Not quite. Krayt Dragon's coming up, but we'll get there in a second. So, right now, we got one of the few medium base guys, the Massassi Sith Mutant, so kind of bad lighting, sorry about that. The Massassi Sith Mutant, he's got Savage, Melee, Mighty Swing, only costs 15, and got awesome stats, 60, 15, 11, and 20. Like, that 11 attack is kind of insane, actually, on a melee character that cheap. Overall, though, I think he's just fair, and there's a few reasons why we'll get into. The HP is nice. The survivability isn't that good, though. He does have good HP, so that can help a little bit, but otherwise, he'll just kind of get shot up, sliced up. The attack is crazy, so having 11 attack on a melee piece that costs 15 is basically unheard of. Most melee characters, like for example, the Nexu was like 7, so it's a 4-point difference. It's like 20% difference in terms of rolling the dice. So, really nice attack. And that's good for Mighty Swing, because if you get to a point where you can use Mighty Swing, it'll probably work, so that is good. So his ability synergy is solid. Just, Mighty Swing is a good thing to have if you're going to have Savage. Versatility, I don't think it's all that great. It just kind of does one thing. Go up there, attack. And I gave him Savage score of a fair. Kind of the couple reasons why I gave that is I think he can still die pretty easily. He doesn't have this crazy damage factor like everyone else does. Everyone else can charge and do tons of damage, or they have quadruple attack or something like that. He just has one attack, although it's a high accuracy attack, and he's also locked behind Sith, so you can't. This guy's kind of just you mix with Exarchon, you see how it goes. He does go well with Exarchon. I mean, he can rush, get 15 attack, 30 damage. If he's against Jedi, he's even better. So definitely a nice, not a bad piece at all to mix with Kun, but it's kind of his main go-to that you'd want to mix. Okay, next is the Gundark. So we're progressing along here. Another Champions of the Force Savage character. Excuse me, got to do a big yawn there. So Gundark is interesting. He costs 22, 90 HP, 18 defense, 12 attack, and 10 damage. So here's a Gundark right here. There you go. Savage, melee, and he has quadruple attack. So this guy's interesting because he only does 10 damage, but he has 4 high probability hits, which is honestly not that bad at all. The thing with him overall, though, is like he's got nice stats. I mean, the attack is crazy high, the HP is really high, the survivability is not too bad. It's just he has nice defense and HP, so that definitely helps him out quite a bit. The max damage is solid. It is 4 attacks and 10 damage, and a lot of characters at this level probably do 20 damage with double attack. So it's not like it's that crazy. It's somewhat nice that he gets some flexibility, so if he's in a situation you want to do like 3 attacks here, 1 attack there, he can do it. But overall, I think his synergy and versatility is just kind of fine. I mean, he just has a bunch of attacks. He doesn't have any other flavor to him as either. So overall, I don't think he's that bad. He's just kind of like good stats, a lot of attacks, and not a lot of other interesting flavor going on. Very cheap to pick up as well on Blue Milk if you want him. And then some other nice pairings is he could be an interesting choice with, I mean, of course, if you mix him with Exarchon and you get a Jedi squad, then yes, this would be incredible, like awesome character. But if you were gonna fight against someone who's Sith and they pull out Exarchon, I mean, you're probably screwed anyway, to be honest with you, depending on the squad they put together. So yes, with Kun he's really nice. With the Jedi Exile he gets 5 attacks, but I think at the end of the day, he might actually just be better with Exarchon, honestly, because that's such a big improvement. 80 damage, 16 attack against Jedi, instead of just having 5 attacks. So kind of here there. So the next one we're going to do is the Krayt Dragon. So this is the one I do not have. At some point I'll pick him up probably. They're pretty rare to pick up. I think they're like $70 or so on eBay most of the time. But let's see what we got here. This guy's very similar to the Reek, but a little different. So 50, 140, 17, 12, and 30 base damage now. This guy is Savage, charging insult 20, but it's 16 squares, and then he has melee attack and speed 8. So the thing I really like about this guy a lot is the fact that he got less HP than the Reek, but I really like his potential and speed. So this guy can kind of just jump out there. He can move a little bit further. He can do 50 damage just right off the bat. And then I think he's a really sweet pairing with, like a really nice pairing with Exarchon. Because with Exarchon, you get momentum just built in with all of that. So that's 60 damage, 16 attack. That's guaranteed 60 damage. That's really high. And then if it's a Jedi, it's even worse. So it's like, I think the Krayt Dragon with Exarchon is pretty sweet. Pretty dang sweet. Another interesting combination for a Krayt Dragon that I thought of was if you mix, it's a 200 point squad that I thought of. It'd be really goofy, but do Mandalore the ultimate, do the Mandalore that gives twin attack, and then put in a couple empathy characters, like maybe a few Rakghoul Wranglers to give him to have him lose Savage. And so if you kind of like pull it off quite right with that combination, he becomes a Mandalorian. He gains twin attack because Mandalorian conscription is not a commander effect, so it's a special ability. So he gains Mandalorian. He become a Mandalorian. And then if you mix him, I think it's the Mandalorian captain or commander gives twin attack, he would gain twin attack. And then if you have enough Rakghoul Wrangler spam, then he could do a charge for 50 and then twin attack it and go again, which could be pretty crazy. Again, that's kind of like out of the box crazy. I might post a squad about that after this as one of my squad videos, post a character comparison video. But I don't know, kind of crazy. At the end of the day, put him with Exarchon. That's a better choice. And just to kind of breeze through these things overall, he's got solid stats, even for his cost. Very nice across the board. Versatility solid with the speed, that charge attack. His charge attack, I like it more than the Reek's, just because it's more deadly, and it's faster. So overall, I give him a 4. I think he's probably one of the better or best Savage characters personally, and definitely a lot of fun and hard one to collect, but we'll find it. So next is Rampaging Wampa. I picked this one up not too long ago for a nice deal. There we go. A nice mini, although I think for some reason I still like the original, but they're both cool. So the Rampaging Wampa, the thing with him is he costs more. He's a 22, 70 HP, 14 defense, 11 attack now, and 20 damage. This guy's got ambush, double, melee, and Ren 20. So the thing I really like about what he's got going on, he's just like tons of damage, overwhelming, not great defense. So you kind of want to like play him right so he can pop out, then do all the damage. But this guy is just excellent whether you pair him with Exarchon or the Jedi Exile. Because if you mix him with a Jedi Exile, you know, you were talking probably 80 damage here maybe. And then if you mix him with Exarchon, yeah, the momentum's crazy. The Jedi Hunter could be crazy too if that's going on. So I think he's definitely a very high ceiling character if you mix him with either of those. So let's go through him real fast, breaking him down. Overall, I think he's pretty good. His range survivability is, both of them are bad. So the bad defense, like if this guy's exposed a little bit, he can get shot up and killed very fast. So you got to be careful with him. Kind of hold him back so that he's, you know, not the nearest enemy, so that he can kind of get up to a position and then do what he needs to do. The attack's awesome though. Having 11 attack, it's good. It means you're going to probably get Ren 20. If you have bad attack and you have Rend, it's not cool. But this guy's high attack, so Rend might actually work. And, you know, with characters like Exarchon helping him out, that'll help even more. I think the ability synergy and the powers are crazy, just like a total cascade of destruction. But I think his versatility, the reason I say it's poor is because you have to be very careful with him. And he's kind of more of a one-trick pony. Use all these abilities to just kind of like glass cannon savage attack somebody. But if that's all you're doing, you're not doing other interesting things around the battlefield and supporting in different ways. And that's not to say he's bad, it's just that's not what he does. I gave him a 3.5. The reason for that is he does have awesome pairings, but if you're not careful, you can shoot him up pretty quick. So, and like I mentioned, I do love that he has high attack, Ren 20, great damage. This guy can just go out there and just punch you in the face, but you gotta be very careful. And he does pair awesome with these dudes, so keep that in mind. Knobby White Spider. So here's Yoda's canon home. These guys, you know, dry up on thing on Dagobah and turn into trees or something like that. And then I know in canon they change them a little bit, but Knobby White Spider, they're cool. I think sometimes they feel like they're kind of overlooked, but they're not bad. So he's a 38. 110, 18, 8, and 20. And these guys are really kind of featured because they have melee reach, quadruple attack, and speed 8. And so they're quick, can hit a lot, and that's kind of their gimmick. And they can kind of hit from a little bit far too, so kind of nice. Overall, I think they're kind of cool. I think those are good tools to have, do a lot of damage, have a lot of attacks. But at the end of the day, for some reason, I don't know why, the Knobby White, maybe it's just because he's uncommon or something, but he's never maybe too excited. But he does have good things going for him. Even for a 38, his HP is just fine. The attack, I think the attack and survivability are kind of holding him back a bit, but the damage is great. Got a high damage ceiling, and his special abilities are also really good too. Basically, you got I think I should give him a 4. 3.8 feels a bit too low, especially if you have the speed, the reach, and quadruple. But his abilities do synergize well together. Got solid versatility with having all this. And then my Savage Store, I gave him a 3. So the reason I didn't go any higher than him, that is because he's not too expensive. However, some of the more expensive guys, they have, I don't know. It's just, I don't know if it's the HP or what it is, but for some reason I just feel a little bit more hesitant to use the Knobby White Spider as opposed to maybe even some of the other huge bases or large base Savage characters. I will say though, one thing that is nice is that he does gain quintuple attack if you do mix this guy with Jedi Exile. that's an easy pairing, and I think that could be a good way, a good move for him for sure. So kind of on his own, or even with XR Kun, I don't know if I feel as excited about using him, because he doesn't have as good a survivability, he doesn't have as great of attack, but if you can give him 5 attacks, that could be kind of fun. So that's kind of my feeling about this guy overall. I think he's a really cool looking sculpt for sure, but I don't know, there's just something about this guy that doesn't quite I don't know, just kind of work with me, I guess. But I don't know, I might be totally wrong. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Definitely comment. I'm curious what you guys think about the Knobby White Spider. So maybe it's just because I collected too many of these when I was little and I was just kind of sick of them, but I don't know. Because generally a lot of these other guys can be hard to find, but I got so many of these. Alright, Boma from KOTOR. So we got one of these guys. Very interesting. So they cost 22, which is very cheap, to have 100 HP, terrible defense, 10 attack, and 20. So these guys are kind of like the cheap chargers, basically. You have melee and charging plus 10. So this guy can charge, do 30 damage, and I kind of see this guy in 2 very different lights. And we'll get to that when we talk about XR Kun later. So his HP is crazy good. I do think he's good overall, but I think you really you only have to use him with XR Kun and that's it, otherwise I wouldn't use him. So his survivability is terrible. He does have a nice HP, but you can just kind of churn through him like butter if you wanted to. The attack's fine, the max damage is fine. I mean, getting 30 damage I should say, I mean that is cool, but it's not as exciting, you know, it's getting like 50 or 60 or 40 or whatever. But it is, for someone who costs 22, I think it's still pretty solid. Special abilities are fine. The ability synergies are all right as well. I mean, charging assault it's all good and dandy. The versatility is not that awesome. I give him a 3. However, this is kind of how I see being him used. I think this guy is actually really good with XR Kun, and even though he doesn't have the best defense, and I wouldn't really use him any other way, XR Kun's expensive, and this guy's not. So if you wanted to do a squad with a couple of a couple characters that could do a nice charge, instead of using a Reek or a Krayt Dragon or even like the Kintan Strider is actually very similar in cost. You can use Bomas, and with the Boma and him, he can charge and get 40, or if it's against a Jedi, he can get 50. So you're getting basically someone, you have XR Kun and like maybe 3 of these guys, and they do pair very, very well with him. So I don't like these guys outside of XR Kun, but I think they're a really nice pair with XR Kun, so definitely something to kind of keep in mind. So they're at Rakghoul. These guys are so crazy. Oh my gosh. I actually, even up until very recently, until I got corrected, I used to call them Rakghouls. Don't know why I added the extra consonants, but yeah, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right anyway. Rakghoul, something like that. So these guys are pretty crazy. Cost 16. The stats aren't crazy, but there's reason for it. So they got 30, 17, 5, and 10. It's actually pretty bad HP, honestly, for a melee character. So, but there's a reason for it. So this guy's got ambush and triple, so he can kind of jump out and attack. But then he's got Rakghoul disease, and this is the kind of the most hilarious thing. So plus 10 damage to living enemy, save of 11. So against living characters, this guy could do like, at most 60 damage, or at worst 30 damage. And that's really good. That's better than the Nexu that can just do 20. So definitely really nice. And then he's got the whole crazy thing where it's like if you defeat that living enemy, then you just put one of these in his place and you got like a zombie basically. So super, super, super crazy. And yeah, like I mentioned there in the summary, he's kind of the GOAT Savage character. These guys are sort of hard to find in mass. No, they are hard to find in mass. I mean, they're not hard to get just a couple of, but if you want an army of these, and then if you want to defeat the enemy and infect them, good luck. I say best of luck collecting enough to infect your entire enemy team. But if you can do it, that's awesome. That's very awesome. So I recently got a couple of these not too long ago, so I'll definitely be holding on to them. So let's go through the summary up above. I gave them a really good score. I think they are really good. The thing that holds them back is like, yeah, they got Rakghoul disease and that's awesome, but they're really easy to kill. And I think that's kind of the point. But overall, the hit points are poor, not good survivability. The attack is kind of rubbish. And then the max damage, though, is very nice because you can do 3 attacks, and you can do yeah, and you can have ambush and stuff like that, so it's very nice. Special abilities, though, I gave him exceptional. If you only cost 16 and you can, you know, defeat a character and they become part of your team, and it's like another one of these guys, and it's really easy to do, though, too. It's just you get a bunch of them, they charge. You know, if you mix them with Exarchon, then holy smokes, maybe you're doing 90 damage if you get lucky. Like, goodness gracious, what are we talking about? So, very nice. The synergy is fantastic. That Rakghoul disease is great to add on to the triple and the ambush. His versatility is pretty good too. I gave him a 4.5. I didn't give him a 5 out of 5. I just felt like, I don't know if any of the Savage characters are quite there, but he does have the highest score of any of the Savage characters that I did. Let's see. So yeah, overall, pretty good. Blue Milk, he is also Blue Milk's most popular Savage character as well, which I'm not surprised. And they cost about 25 bucks each. So like I said, good luck getting a bunch of these things. And kind of at the end of the day, I think this guy's probably the best pairing, other than like one of the really nice charging characters. I think this guy's probably just the best pairing. A bunch of them with Exarchon. I mean, it's just kind of, they're cheap, they're easy to pair with them. You could pair like a bunch of them with Exarchon. And even if you lose a couple of them, if a couple, or if say you lose 2 of them quickly, you still got 3 of them with Exarchon. And, you know, they can move with ambush, triple. If there's a Jedi mixed in, they're done. And you can get, you know, basically 9 attack now, 20 damage each, plus maybe the plus 10. So, it seems like a cop-out answer, but I think mixing these guys with Exarchon is probably just, it's probably the best combo. And they're even nice, too, if you do it with the Jedi Exile. So definitely not bad either. So, Kintan Strider. So, these are one of the Dejark characters. Here he is, giant hammer dude. 19. So, in some ways, this guy reminds me of the Boma. He's a charger. He costs about the same. Nice hit points. Really bad attack and defense. But he has 30 damage. And he's got regen 10, which is kind of fun. So kind of gain a little, potentially gain a little extra HP there. Melee reach 2, which is also good. And then charging assault plus 10. So I think it's kind of tough because it's like if you're going to use the Boma, well, I'll get to this in a second. Let's go through the summary first. So I gave him a good rating. I think his HP is great. Bad survivability and attack. Like, that's really bad attack. His max damage is nice. The special abilities are great. The ability synergy is great. So his abilities, yeah, great. Synergy's great. I mean, these all go awesome together. And overall, I think he's really good. So I kind of see it this way. You have the Boma and you have the Kintan Strider. They're both cost about the same. On one hand, with the Boma, you get the more HP. You get, let's see, what else do you get? You get a little bit better attack. So you get those things. Whereas with this guy, you gotta get other more like technical things going on here. Does have worse attack. At the end of the day, you can do a little more damage potentially. So he's got, here he starts with 30 and then can go to 40. Melee reach is nice. He can regenerate a little bit too. So I don't know. I don't know which one I like more. I think the Kintan Strider is like maybe a little underrated, but maybe just kind of depends on what your flavor is. The thing I do like about the Boma, if you mix him with Exarchon, he can charge and he'll have 14 attack, and that's just, I like to have the guarantee on the damage. With him only having, you know, being able to get up to 10 attack potentially, that just seems a little bit not as awesome to me, but don't want to take that away. Still has great things going for him. It's just kind of either or, you know, kind of pick which one you want. So last but not least for these guys, we got the Chloro Slug, and pretty cool looking. There we go. And it costs 20, 70, 16, 8, and 20. Got interesting combination things there. He's a Dejark. He got speed 8, melee attack, defensive plate. So basically, if he doesn't move on his turn, then he gets damage reduction 10. And then he can do poison 20. So overall, really nice character. He's fast. He's got some nice defensive capabilities. And then he can do poison against living enemies too, which is kind of fun. So I gave him a good score overall, 3.15. That's what it all kind of added up to at the end. His HP is solid. The survivability is all solid. I think definitely having the optional damage reduction 10 helps a lot, and then some speed is nice. The attack is solid. You know, for his cost, that's pretty good. The special abilities I think are pretty good too. And I think his special abilities lend him to be something kind of unique for Savage characters, because I don't think his ability synergy is all that awesome, but I think when it comes to his Savage character, I think he has nice kind of versatility. You know, he's got the ability to have defensive stuff on him. He can do poison 20 against living enemies. He's a little bit quick. So I think in terms of like being a flexible piece, he can do maybe a few different things here. But overall, I think he does need a little bit of help, just a little bit. But I do like what he starts out with. And so that kind of all drives down. I gave him a 3.5 as well. I think he's pretty good. Blue Milk would also kind of agree with that. And he's a little bit more expensive, around 20 bucks. But the thing I really like with this guy is I think he's also a good candidate to mix with Exarchon. But if the fun thing is if you mix this guy with Jedi Exile, we're talking 2 attacks with poison 20, so maybe like even 80 damage. So I think this guy's a really nice one to consider doing with the Jedi Exile. And of course a good thing with Exarchon as well. So anyway, I think that gets through all of them. I add this extra slide on here. I'm going to move this over to the right for now. So what we kind of got going on is if you have chargers and ambushers, definitely mix him with Exarchon, especially those chargers. They work fantastic with him with his commander effect. And then if you do ambushers and brawlers, so guys who just kind of like, you know, can ambush and do a lot of attacks, or they just have a lot of attacks, if you mix them with Jedi Exile, they can very easily gain that extra attack, and that can be really good. And then, just kind of a side note, if you want to do some empathy to be able to get other commander effects with these guys, you got the Rakghoul Wrangler, which only costs 6, so they're not too bad to spam. I mean, if you have a couple of Savage guys and there's a commander effect, like a very interesting outside-the-box or fun commander effect you really want to put on one of these guys, it's not too, I don't think it's too bad to kind of throw these guys on there. The Night Sister Sith Witch, which costs 17, I don't know if there's quite as much room for these guys to be great in the Empire, to be honest with you, but they do have that. I'm curious to hear if you guys have any thoughts on that. And then lastly, I've already mentioned the Jedi Exile. He's got empathy, and he gives extra attack, and he doesn't cost too much either, so definitely a nice guy to mix if you're going to do some Savage characters in the Old Republic. So let's go on to the final rankings. Let's hope this works correctly. So in last place, unsurprisingly, we got the Wampa. Next, we got the Massassi Sith Mutant, and I really don't think they're that bad. It's just he has to go with Exarchon, and that's kind of it. The Boma, pretty nice. The thing with the Boma is, even though it's got the nice HP, he only rushes for 30 damage, and if you mix him with Gun, he's even better, which is good. Definitely, he has to be mixed with Exarchon, but I don't really like him in many other situations. Then the Knobby White Spider. So Knobby White Spider, pretty fun character. It is nice to have the quadruple attack and the reach. However, I don't think the survivability is that wonderful. And even though you do a lot of attacks, in certain situations you might get killed anyway. But he's a 3. He's good. You could get 5 attacks with the Jedi Exile too. Acklay, not bad. Kind of similar in the sense that you have the reach. You got the multiple attacks. But the Acklay's a little bit more expensive, but he does have damage reduction 10, which is nice. And cleave, so you can get maybe a 4th attack. Gundark, awesome stats. Not surprised he's up there. Got the Kintan Strider then. I think when it all breaks down, the Kintan Strider is probably a better, you know, if you compare him to the Boma, some differences, but at the end of the day, he might be just a little bit better. The Chloro Slug, I really like what he brings. Very nice to go with the Jedi Exile. Reek's pretty good charger. The Nexu, you might think that this is way too high for the Nexu, and it probably is. I'm probably overdoing the Nexu, but I love that he has stealth. He's the only one with stealth, and if you mix him with Exarchon easily, he can be very cheap and very nice and effective. So I do really like that a lot. Rampaging Wampa has an unbelievable damage ceiling, essentially. Rancor's pretty good if you're going to have a huge character. The Rancor doesn't cost too much, and he's got a lot of fun stuff to work with. Young Krayt Dragon is an epic rusher. And then finally, the Rakghoul is just, in my opinion, kind of the GOAT. Is awesome with, probably the best one to mix with Exarchon personally, just because of the crazy potential of being able to have lots of damage, good attack, and spreading Rakghoul disease to the whole enemy. So I'll leave this up here. Feel free to pause and take a look at this if you'd like. I'm going to move this back over. Oh, that was not what I had in mind. Let's move this left. So this is prices, abilities, specialties, and then just kind of a breakdown. With anything with these guys, they either have terrible attack or amazing attack. They generally have awesome hit points, terrible survivability, like no defensive stuff except for HP. And then you got three varieties. You got the people that are brawlers, where they just kind of have multiple attacks. And then you have the guys that are ambushers, who have multiple attacks but can use ambush. And then you got the chargers, who they can, move their full speed and then just kind of slam into somebody and do a lot of damage. I'd say overall, I think my favorite charger is the Krayt Dragon, especially because you can get really high damage potential if you mix him with XR Kun. But if you want to go cheap, Kintan Strider is probably the next best. When it comes to the brawler type characters, I really like, I think I really like the Gundark's not too bad, but it doesn't do a lot of damage. So I like the Rancor. He's kind of cheaper. He can do a lot of attacks. You can give him a lot of attacks if you mix him with Jedi Exile. So I think I like the Rancor a lot in that sense. And then when it comes to ambushers, definitely I love the damage potential of Rampaging Wampa, and the Rakghoul is probably the best one. So anyway, that's a long one, 45-minute video. So hopefully you appreciated it. I really appreciate the response from the poll. Got a lot of feedback. My next video is either going to probably be Qui-Gon Jinn or Clone Trooper variants, and then I can probably put up another poll to figure out what to do next, and got some other fun videos coming around the corner. So again, please like, please subscribe, and yeah, definitely comment. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on all these Savage characters. What kind of squads would you put them with? Who are your favorite ones? Are there any kind of details I might have missed? I'd love to hear it from you. So anyways, until next time, I'll leave it there and have a good one.